Carbon dioxide is a colorless, odorless gas that comprises 0.04% of our atmosphere. It does not cause any diseases. It is food for plants and is generally known to be a pretty amiable molecule. So why are so many people with super serious titles bashing it? And why are companies backed by Bill Gates trying to pull it out of the air and transmute it into an energy-dense liquid? I just took an air whose carbon dioxide percentage was 0.04 and exhaled air with 4% carbon dioxide. I concentrated it 100 times. If carbon dioxide was a spark, I would have breathed out an inferno. And if it did have an odor, my cameraman would be dead. We are all carbon dioxide concentrating machines, and there are 7 billion of us just billowing away 24 hours a day. An average human being breathes out 300 kilograms of carbon dioxide every year. That's 2.5 billion tons, just for the basic plan, existence. Luckily, this carbon gets into our bodies from eating organic matter, which took the carbon dioxide out of the air in the first place. Plants absorb carbon dioxide, animals eat plants. We eat said animals or plants directly. It is a beautiful, perfectly balanced cycle, which maintained carbon dioxide levels at 290 parts per million till the pre-industrial era. But there was an issue. We upgraded from the basic plan. We are now on the super luxury, futuristic media hellscape don't at me plan. This required a little premium, which we paid by digging up millennia-old decayed organic matter and burning it like there was no tomorrow. Now, oil was a big improvement from hunting down albino whales, melting down their fat, and using it to light the streets. But hints began to emerge in the 19th century that the increasing use of oil and coal may have some insidious effects. Eunice Foote Newton was a seminary-educated US scientist and daughter of Isaac Newton Jr. At a time where most women her age were making jam and raising grandkids, she conducted a series of experiments in 1856 where she put air, water vapor, and carbon dioxide in different jars and measured how hot they got and how long they took to cool down. The highest effect of the sun's rays I have found to be in carbonic acid gas, her transcript reads. The receiver containing the gas became itself much heated, very sensibly more so than the other, and on being removed, it was many times as long in cooling. A pretty astute observation later confirmed in many experiments. While it's true that carbon dioxide is a very small component of the atmosphere as a whole, it has an outsize effect. This is because the primary component of air, oxygen, argon, and nitrogen, are all transparent to the infrared rays the Earth emits in order to lose heat to space. Carbon dioxide, on the other hand, while being transparent to the short wavelengths coming in from the sun, absorbs the infrared waves coming from Earth. So when its level increases, the amount of heat trapped by the Earth does too. Anyway, we discovered the greenhouse effect, but nobody imagined that us tiny humans could possibly affect a system as vast as the atmosphere, so we continued burning fossil fuels. But now the bill is coming due. We can't really stop now. We're used to a certain lifestyle, and going off it would be a bit of pain. Here is where carbon capture comes in, a painless way to atone for our sins. Fans breathe in air with normal levels of carbon dioxide, and the air that is finally released has very small amounts. In the middle, there are some solvents that will hold on to the carbon dioxide. The remaining carbon dioxide, poor air, is then allowed to pass through, and carbon dioxide is taken out separately by heating this concoction, because you need to use the solvent. Then it goes to tanks or balloons, and the solvent goes back for another hit of the good stuff. Through this process, you can supposedly remove 90% of the carbon dioxide in the air passing through the system. For Carbon Engineering's plant, this translates into 1 megaton of carbon every year. But there is a catch. It takes a lot of energy to run all of this. The fans, the heaters, the compressors. And if you're burning coal to produce this energy, this whole exercise is pretty pointless. So it was not really practical until quite recently. According to Wärtsilä, you can have a grid based completely on renewables if you overbuild them to 4 times the peak load. You'd end up with a lot of spare electricity, which could then be used to run this whole operation. We'd need 40,000 of Carbon Engineering's plants to account for all the carbon dioxide that humans emit every single year. What we were talking about so far is direct air capture. Another more intuitive method is to take the carbon dioxide out at the source, from the power plants and industry factories. You need a whole chemical cycle to get rid of the carbon dioxide. Carbon-rich air comes in, reacts with, or is absorbed by something, and carbon-poor air comes out. The something is heated separately to get carbon dioxide gas and then goes back to bind some more. This process is expensive, in turn, making the electricity from the plant more expensive. Subsidies, carbon taxes, tax breaks, all of these are essential to making this viable. And carbon dioxide is not completely useless, so it can be sold off to make a bit of money back. Now, carbon sequestration is pushed and funded by these companies. It's the who's who of the big bads, like Joker and the Penguin getting together to make Gotham great again. Your first instinct is definitely to question their motives. A lot of people think it's a delaying strategy, as it gives those companies an out from paying for a crisis that they created in the first place. They continue extracting fossil fuels, while the taxpayer is on the hook to subsidize direct air capture. A lot of people who study these things are of the opinion that our efforts are much better spent on renewables and grid-scale battery storage, rather than chasing the notion that we can just carry on as before. But look at the energy production in our country, and we're not unique in this matter at all. We aren't going to shut down all of these plants anytime soon. So retrofitting them is the only solution available to reduce emissions. In the developed world, the arguments against carbon capture probably apply, but they don't hold up so well in the developing world where coal is a cheap, reliable source of energy. Here's a graphic of the different sources of carbon dioxide from human activity. We've already looked at industry and power generation. Transport makes up a big chunk of it too. While airplanes and trucks could possibly be run on green hydrogen, and cargo ships also have the option of being nuclear-powered. You cannot sequester carbon dioxide from a petrol car. The hope is that electric cars will be the solution here. But there is a way to drive a fossil fuel vehicle with zero emissions. The carbon dioxide captured through the techniques we discussed earlier can be used to create synthetic fuel. At the cost of $4 per gallon, meaning 75 rupees per liter, it falls just within the realm of acceptability. We're already paying more than that in India. Synthetic fuels make a better strategy for a country like ours than to make cars completely electric. 1. Have you seen the premiums on bog standard electric vehicles? And 2, because as we discussed, our electricity production is based on coal and will be for quite some time. Synthetic fuels would not only allow people to run their petrol cars for a much longer time, but also avoid the situation of grown adults having to drive this. So, to sum up everything, we can capture carbon dioxide from concentrated sources, like flues of factories and power plants, or dilute sources like regular old air. Once captured, it can be pushed underground, sold to soda and beer companies, turned into synthetic fuels, pumped into oil fields to get more oil, or sequestered in concrete. Most international organizations think that carbon capture will play some part in a zero-emission future. But a lot of skeptics feel that it'll just make us hang on to our bad habits. So that's pretty much that for carbon capture. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something new. Like, share, subscribe, and start a conversation below to get more videos like this in your recommendation. I'll see you really soon. Bye.